Just days after the September 11th attacks, the CIA became the first U.S. agency to deploy inside Afghanistan. In mid-September 2001, under Operation Jawbreaker, a small paramilitary team from the CIA's Special Activities Division landed covertly in the Panjshir Valley. Their mandate was clear: gather real-time intelligence on Taliban leadership and al-Qaeda networks, identify targets, and disrupt any planned retaliatory attacks, especially large-scale operations that could undermine imminent U.S. intervention. Unlike conventional military forces, this group arrived before ground combat had even officially begun. They carried satellite uplinks, bundles of cash for intelligence sources, and laser designator equipment to coordinate incoming airstrikes. Once embedded with Northern Alliance Commander Ahmad Shah Massoud's surviving network, their first briefings confirmed critical intelligence. Taliban leadership was actively working with al-Qaeda to plan counteroffensive strikes, including assassinations and large-scale attacks on any coalition-supported transitions of power. Declassified CIA documents and official historical accounts show that the team discovered key communications linking senior Taliban figures in Kandahar with al-Qaeda couriers moving between Kabul and Tora Bora. These transmissions outlined preparations for coordinated assaults designed to cripple U.S. forces once they landed and to eliminate Afghan figures expected to support the new government. To counter this, the CIA accelerated operational planning. Intelligence sharing with NSA confirmed encrypted messages referencing the term Night of the Followers, believed to be code for a mass-scale attack targeting early-stage U.S. staging zones across northern Afghanistan. As the CIA funneled this intelligence to military planners, airstrikes began on October 7, 2001. Guided in part by Jawbreaker operatives on the ground, precision strikes destroyed multiple Taliban command and control centers. During this stage, human sources provided actionable insights regarding a planned Taliban counterstrike intended to take place as coalition aircraft would exit their first wave of sorties. Time to exploit presumed refueling and repositioning. However, through coordinated CIA military action, additional air sorties were unexpectedly routed back to continue bombardment. Multiple Taliban units positioned for attack were neutralized before they could mobilize. By late November, intelligence showed that surviving Taliban field commanders had prepared a secondary master plan, a high-profile assassination operation targeting Hamid Karzai, who was emerging as the U.S.-backed interim leader. Declassified post-event reports confirmed that the CIA intercepted this plot through tribal-side intelligence gathered near Tarin-Kaut. Karzai narrowly escaped an ambush on November 24, 2001, when CIA operatives coordinated emergency air support after detecting Taliban movement from radio chatter. This swift response is widely credited as having prevented a political collapse at a critical stage of transition. The operation didn't just strike enemy leadership. It stopped a chain of planned retaliatory attacks designed to derail international intervention in Afghanistan before it could begin. But what the CIA learned next during the pursuit into Tora Bora would reveal just how far the Taliban's master plan really extended. Following the interception of the first assassination plot against Hamid Karzai, intelligence indicated that Taliban leadership had retreated into rugged mountainous terrain near Tora Bora, an area long used by al-Qaeda commanders and shielded by cave networks. Declassified accounts confirmed that CIA paramilitary officers deployed rapidly to trace Taliban facilitators and uncover additional planned retaliation efforts. Signals intelligence provided by NSA detected increased radio traffic between Tora Bora commanders and field elements still operating in Kandahar. The communications referenced an initiative referred to as the Second Strike. Though the precise meaning was not immediately clear, the CIA assessed that this was tied to broader destabilization efforts targeting transitional governance before coalition authority could be established. Acting on this intelligence, small CIA-led teams embedded with Afghan militia forces initiated high-altitude reconnaissance. They confirmed that senior Taliban operatives had regrouped with al-Qaeda advisors deep within the cave complex. Captured communications revealed strategic planning underway, not only to mount offensives against U.S.-backed Afghan forces, but to launch suicide attacks against emerging regional command centers. To prevent this escalation, the CIA coordinated with JSOC to direct precision strikes throughout early December 2001. They also established listening posts to monitor Taliban withdrawal paths. According to declassified reports, CIA ground teams located and seized written operational materials from abandoned command posts, handwritten notes outlining potential militant attacks targeting airfields being used by coalition forces within the next 30 days. This intelligence was critical. It indicated that Taliban leadership intended to re-infiltrate urban zones once coalition forces redeployed, launching infiltration-style attacks, including bombings and coordinated ambushes against U.S. personnel and Afghan provisional leaders. However, the CIA identified a weak point. The operation required uninterrupted courier movement through mountain passes. Using a combination of UAV targeting data relayed to ground teams and human sources paid for by CIA field operatives, they located and intercepted a key courier convoy near the Khyber route. Material seized confirmed a planned timeline for disruption operations, including attempts to target Kabul-based Interim Authority facility before the end of December. As the Tora Bora offensive intensified, airstrikes eliminated numerous Taliban-linked command nodes. While high-value targets were believed to have escaped across the border, the seizure of operational logistics and disruption of the courier network prevented the execution of what was documented internally as the most coordinated post-invasion retaliation plan against U.S.-aligned leadership. At this point, however, intelligence reports began indicating irregular communication patterns between Taliban units and external networks, suggesting a wider support infrastructure feeding the planned operation. By early 2002, while U.S. conventional forces pursued ground stabilization inside Afghanistan, the CIA turned attention to what internal briefings termed external enablers, a network believed to be aiding Taliban leadership in planning renewed strikes. Declassified CIA operational cables confirmed that captures made during the Tora Bora pursuit provided critical leads. Several intercepted messages referenced new doors opening, implying support beyond the Afghan border. The CIA Counterterrorism Center initiated a cross-border disruption program, working through Islamabad station. In January, SAT operatives conducted covert observation missions alongside limited ISI counterparts. Declassified U.S. Senate reports and CIA acknowledgments from 2004 confirmed that during this period, intelligence identified Taliban safe houses around Quetta, used for communications relay and planning meetings. Documentation retrieved show that high-ranking Taliban facilitators were coordinating a restructured master plan aimed at assassinating emerging Afghan provincial leaders and disrupting coalition supply lines via Pakistan. Importantly, intercepted audio, confirmed by declassified NSA summaries, revealed that operatives discussed targeting aircraft transiting Bagram Air Base once troop rotations began in full scale. To counter this, CIA field teams established surveillance near known logistics transfer points. Human sources infiltrated administrative support networks, providing false documentation to militant operatives. In February 2002, Afghan informants recruited and financed by the CIA delivered operational notes to Kandahar station outlining preparations for coordinated convoy ambushes near Gardez and Khost. CIA rapidly forwarded the intelligence, allowing coalition ground forces to reroute and avoid attacks. Although some ISI contacts provided cooperation, U.S. intelligence archives confirm internal concerns regarding support networks active within Pakistani tribal regions. These findings prompted the CIA to increase unilateral tracking efforts on individuals listed in seized documents. One such individual, codename Operator 4, in declassified reference material, was identified as having direct involvement in coordinating attack timelines related to the second wave retaliation effort. By March 2002, drone surveillance directed by CIA analysts at Langley detected irregular movement patterns consistent with operational movement toward Afghan borders. CIA directed special units to interdict suspected routes. The disruption of these corridors led to the seizure of encrypted maps and route plans, suggesting a multi-stage offensive targeting Afghan capital transition meetings expected in early 2002. Although details remain partially redacted in declassified reports, internal assessments indicate that this seizure accelerated collapse of operational coherence among Taliban planners and forced leadership into a defensive position. Intelligence suggests that, had these plans been executed, they could have significantly delayed formation of Afghanistan's transitional government. At this point, success appeared imminent. But another development caught CIA analysts off guard. Fresh signals indicated emerging collaboration between the Taliban and a small but increasingly active foreign cell exploring more unconventional tactics. By April 2002, coalition forces were advancing, and the Taliban government had collapsed, but intelligence from CIA Kabul station made it clear that the confrontation was far from over. Despite diminished command structure, remaining Taliban leadership shifted focus from large-scale military confrontation to stealth operations, exploiting chaos during the transition period. Declassified CIA memoranda from mid-2002 outline mounting concerns over Taliban operatives seeking external assistance to reorganize an attack designed not merely as retaliation, but as a symbolic strike against Afghanistan's new order. Analysts observed a shift in communication patterns referencing an event that changes direction. Though heavily redacted, signal logs confirmed coordination with a foreign extremist cell exploring unconventional methodologies. Human intelligence gathered in July 2002 near Kos province revealed that a small network of operatives was stockpiling large quantities of ammonium nitrate and wiring components, consistent with plans for a high-casualty bombing. Declassified after-action assessments later confirmed findings that this material was intended for simultaneous detonation at political assembly sites during transitional government meetings in Kabul. CIA Copengram Cable 02-1987 PK disclosed that the cell planned to strike the newly forming administration at one of its public gatherings, intending to eliminate multiple transitional officials to force a leadership vacuum. The attack, if successful, would have delayed political stabilization by months or more. To counter the threat, CIA initiated Operation Crescent Shield. Field teams infiltrated networks linked to the supply chain using cash-funded informants. Agents established disguised safe checkpoints along supply routes and coordinated with Afghan transitional forces to conduct targeted inspections. In late August 2002, an intelligence intercept flagged a courier transporting documents detailing the bombing locations and intended timing. Declassified DIA notes verify that this courier was interdicted approximately 20 kilometers east of Kabul. During the forensic analysis phase, CIA analysts discovered mapped seating arrangements of an upcoming high-profile provisional council session, a strikingly accurate target blueprint. The planned attack was scheduled to coincide with the session's opening remarks. Acting rapidly, CIA teams coordinated with Afghan authorities to modify meeting locations without public disclosure and conducted covert removal of suspected operatives. The council convened as planned. Attendees remained unaware that an attack had been preempted. A follow-up operation resulted in the arrest of two key facilitators, one of whom was tied to the earlier Tora Bora-linked courier network. According to declassified post-operation documentation, internal CIA analyses concluded that this intervention directly prevented the Taliban re-emergence strategy's central staging attack. Despite the success, analysts warned that these attempts were not isolated. Taliban networks continued adapting, driven by the failure of their original master plan. After neutralizing the bombing plot, analysts at CIA headquarters noted a shift in Taliban strategy. Rather than targeting Afghan leadership exclusively inside the country, new intelligence indicated plans to exploit Afghanistan's expanding engagement with the international community. Declassified CIA assessment cable, marked CT/2002-3407, released years later, confirmed signs of a Taliban strategy to target incoming diplomatic missions and early foreign embassy setups. Intelligence suggested that such an attack would destabilize the nation's international standing and discourage foreign support, critical for Afghanistan's reconstruction. September 2002 marked the beginning of targeted intelligence surveillance focused on key arrival schedules for international delegations. NSA intercept logs recorded coded communication discussing a strike that removes their eyes from our land, believed to reference Western observers and diplomatic advisors. Meanwhile, CIA Kabul Station began monitoring potential launch points in Kandahar region. UAV reconnaissance, coordinated by the National Reconnaissance Office, recorded irregular movements near an abandoned logistics compound. Human sources later confirmed that it had become a temporary staging site for smuggling heavy munitions. By October 2002, direct intelligence identified a specific high-value target, an early-phase diplomatic convoy scheduled to transport U.S. and allied representatives toward Kabul. According to subsequently declassified documentation, the attack plan involved deploying a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, VBIED, at a designated choke point on the route entering Kabul. Acting under Operation Silent Dagger, CIA field officers orchestrated a preemptive night raid with support from Afghan National Directorate of Security units. The raid resulted in the seizure of a modified truck fitted with over 450 kilograms of ammonium nitrate and military-grade blasting caps, one of the largest unsecure explosives discovered during the 2002 transitional period. Documents recovered from the site included references to Mission Dawood, believed to reference the Afghan political conference set to receive the delegation. Internal CTC summaries confirmed that the attack's success would have resulted in mass casualties among key foreign and Afghan governance entities. Evidence also showed continued links to the courier network intercepted earlier, confirming that the planned diplomatic strike was part of the broader Taliban master plot originally developed in 2001 and continuously reshaped as operations failed. This operations disruption was instrumental in preserving foreign advisory operations and maintaining international confidence in Afghanistan's stabilization path. A CIA internal memorandum from December 2002 stated, "With this interdiction, coalition authority avoided strategic isolation." Foreign withdrawal at this point would have dramatically altered the reconstruction timeline. Following the operation, NATO and UN personnel accelerated security coordination, citing classified threat briefings from the CIA as justification for enhanced convoy protection protocols. Despite diminished Taliban capacity, threat assessments concluded with caution. Intercepts indicated that elements within the network remained focused on finding ways to undermine international engagement, including potential targeting of infrastructure and aid channels. By 2003, the Taliban's capability to operate conventional offensives had been severely diminished, but intelligence suggested they had been preserving one final plan. After failing to assassinate transitional leadership, intercept diplomatic targets, and disrupt political gatherings, their remaining objective was to cripple Afghanistan's reconstruction effort before it could gain traction. Newly declassified reports confirmed that the CIA uncovered intelligence referencing plan's error, meaning to inflict damage. Unlike previous direct attack strategies, this final plan involved a multi-stage sabotage campaign targeting critical reconstruction supplies, including cement convoys, engineering teams, and fuel supply routes. Blocking early infrastructure development would undermine the Afghan government's credibility and could reverse public confidence in the post-war strategy. Signals gathered by NSA in February 2003 traced Taliban origin messages from Helmand province discussing cutting the lifeline, referring to reconstruction roadways connecting Kandahar to Kabul. Notably, the intercept included references to planned explosives placements along key transit points used by supply trucks delivering materials for government-funded rebuilding projects. CIA Kabul Station responded with immediate action, launching Operation Iron Tempest, a covert disruption initiative targeting logistical sabotage networks. SAD paramilitary officers joined with Afghan Ministry of Interior Forces to perform route infiltration, posing as local transportation overseers. Within weeks, informants, paid using CIA emergency contingency funds, identified a Taliban-affiliated unit embedded along Kandahar, Uruzgan logistics routes. Security teams uncovered concealed detonators and detonators disguised inside construction toolkits. This meant operatives had been planning to embed engineers with sabotage assets, enabling strikes from inside rebuilding teams. Perhaps the most critical breakthrough came in March 2003, when a CIA-led night ambush seized operational documentation hidden inside a shipment of fuel drums. The documents contained route schedules of international development agencies and projected meeting timelines with regional governors, indicating a coordinated effort to detonate explosives during live site inspections involving foreign representatives. Analysis revealed that the planned timing of attacks coincided with public reconstruction announcements meant to symbolize recovery. Declassified CIA correspondence from April 2003 noted, execution of plan's error could have resulted in withdrawal of international engineering aid, delaying infrastructure restoration by a minimum of 24 to 36 months. Acting on this intelligence, SAD teams coordinated with CJTF 180 to secure high-risk zones. Through joint operations, they neutralized multiple emplacement teams and seized large quantities of homemade explosive components near Tarin Kot Valley. An internal post-operation CIA summary later concluded, Operation Iron Tempest marked the dissolution of the Taliban's original retaliatory chain strategy. All known contingency plans developed since 2001 were neutralized prior to execution. By May 2003, the reconstruction routes were secured, and the attacks never occurred. Afghanistan's rebuilding process proceeded, backed by continued international confidence. While isolated insurgent attacks persisted in later years, declassified multi-agency reviews confirmed that between 2001 and 2003, the CIA successfully disrupted a continuously evolving Taliban Master Plan originally devised in direct response to U.S. intervention following the September 11th attacks. From the high mountains of Tora Bora to the supply trails at Helmand, the operation adapted persistently, and without the critical intelligence intercepts, infiltration efforts, and rapid interdictions across these years, experts agree that Afghanistan's political transition in 2002 to 2003 would have been severely destabilized. This story remains one of the earliest and most consequential examples of strategic intelligence thwarting a multi-phase insurgent retaliation effort in modern counterterrorism history.